To select stitches, you will notice that this green area will be all your stitches. You can select stitches a lot of different ways actually. You'll notice that each of the categories are labeled. So for our A1 menu, there are utility stitches. You can arrow to the side here and get to A2, which are also utility stitches. And then it starts going into the next section, B1 for buttonhole stitches, buttonholes, eyelets, sewing on buttons, those are all grouped together. So these groups are great because it's easy to find where you need to go through. Now, another way to get to different stitches in the way you'll probably use is your stitch menu. Your stitch menu will show a little sampling of each of the categories for each of the sections. Now when you touch it, if there's a little bubble that comes out, this one is the H menu, which is the scallop stitches. This has H1 and H2. So if I pick H2, it sends me to that second screen immediately. If I want to jump over to the J menu, those are vintage stitches, also with 2 pages full of great stitches. Now these stitches, decorative stitches, I always say, take some time to sew out each one of these pages on a piece of fabric with some stabilizer behind it, because they're going to look 10 times better sewn out in thread than they do pictured on the screen. Trust me, everyone who does it is so thankful they've taken the time to do it. So each of the menus, once again, are labeled. You'll find your favorites, and then when you want to get back to your regular straight stitch, go back to your A menu, and then select straight stitch. Now keep this in mind. If I notice I did not actually choose a stitch from these menus, I was still on a straight stitch, but as soon as I choose a stitch, it will show up right in the stitch window here. It will give me a width and a length, which I can start to change, and we will change those. But when I go back to a straight stitch, just because I go back to the first menu doesn't mean I'm on the stitch I want. I must touch it. So stitch 2 is the straight stitch in the center needle position. That's the stitch you get to when you turn the machine on. So that's the one you want to get back to. Now, some of our classmates will say, well, my stitch length is 2.5, and they'll look at their neighbors and it'll have a different stitch length. And that's because depending on what the last thing they used in the sewing advisor for fabric choices, that will actually change the stitch length. So if you don't know where to be, make sure you are on fabric B. A, B, and C are woven fabrics in a light, medium, and heavy weight. So B is that middle weight, and we'll set you up for the 2.5. If you don't know what these mean, you can touch the Sewing Advisor icon, and it will show you and name each of the fabric pictures, and then on the other side is technique. So to get back to a seam, you also could check technique number 1, and that would also make sure you got back to a straight stitch, for example. So there's multiple ways to get around this machine. So let's say we were out here doing a blanket stitch. We finished doing our applique. If we go down here to the Sewing Advisor to get back to a straight stitch, you can go ahead and touch technique number 1, a seam, and it will bring you back to the straight stitch in menu A. So once again, get familiar with the screens and how quickly you can travel between all the stitches and get from one page to the next.